So, those of you who have been privileged enough to read Wind in the Willows by the British author Kenneth Grahame, um, or perhaps have seen the Disney interpretation of the loose interpretation that the Disney animated films tend to take of these classics. I think it was the Adventures of Mr. Toad and Ichabod, or Ichabod and Mr. Toad, or something. It's a kind of a dual story that retells the story of Mr. Toad. Or if you've been to the Disney theme parks where they have Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, actually one of my favorite rides. Um, Kind of one of those cheap cardboard cutout rides in Fantasyland, if I recall. Mr. Toad, if you see the film, is actually a very good thing. He goes on these things called manias. He has these things called manias. And he's on to a new mania. I remember he's got a horse named Cyril, and his manias are like, incredibly addictive activities that are seriously impacting his friends. And we could describe certain activities that go on in our own lives as chess players as occasionally chess takes over people's lives. And I've seen this happen to many, many people over the years, and huge numbers actually who would prefer to do just chess. And I can talk about this probably for hours, but the funny part is that, well, what could be wrong with it? I mean, how is this bad? A chess teenager is going to show that to his parents. Look, I'm not off doing something I shouldn't be doing. I'm doing this educationally sanctioned activity, which is good for my mind, and it's going to give me a college scholarship or something. So what could be bad about it? What could be bad is that a person at a certain point occasionally tends to prefer chess to any other activity. How does that happen exactly? Well, chess is a very safe environment, and a person can be very good at it. You can definitely lose yourself in it because there's for the human mind, there's an infinite number of combinations and possibilities that exist. And in a sense, it is a gambling type of activity. And you're gambling your wits against somebody else's, and even though there's very little luck involved, if any, there are rating points involved. And when the rating points involved really mean things to people, I mean, the rating points are everything. It's like walking around with your IQ tattooed on your forehead. So rating points, even for online type activities, even anonymous type activities, take on new meanings for people to the point where they just play chess over and over and over. And you get online and you see the same profiles, and boy, that person was on 6 hours ago, and I'm just playing another game now. And then you look at it; they've been playing all day. They've got 13,000 games that they've played in their short chess career. And apparently, that's all they do is play chess. And some of these people are very good at it. And it's kind of like alcoholism, to kind of, I mentioned that I heard somewhere that the alcoholics were being treated with chess like drug addicts were. That's because it's a replacement type therapy. It's like taking a heroin addict and making him a methadone addict. Basically, you're giving him something more productive to be addicted to that's not as harmful and not going to kill them. And yet, it's an addiction. It's like there's always going to be another. You can always play another game. There's always an excuse. Gee, I just won. I did really well. Now I can play another. I'm on a roll. Or gee, I just lost. Now I'm going to get my points back, and I'm going to play another. And it's very hard to cut off that sort of thing when you're having fun and you're lost in the world of euphoric chess. So there's a built-in justification to it, and it's a sanctioned, accepted activity, possibly the most sanctioned activity, the smartest board game there is to play in the world. What could be bad about it? There's nothing could be bad about it. So, get off my case. If I want to play chess and that's all I want to play, I'm ready to defend my position to do it. In reality, what you're doing is you're killing reality. And I've been at actual chess camps that are taught by masters, grandmasters, all kinds of teachers, where there are other activities for the kids. There are activities outside the chess world that involve things like swimming or going out and doing an athletic activity or doing a group activity or going out to eat or even going to an award ceremony. And what do I see during these activities? A huge number of kids playing chess during the activity, preferring not to do the swimming, preferring not to interact, preferring not to socialize, but just continuing to play chess with each other, usually speed chess, usually maniacally repetitive speed chess over and over and over, to the point of it's even interfering with their ability to receive awards at the award ceremonies. So it's kind of curious how that happens. And from a person looking in from the outside, it would appear to be some sort of illness practically. And the reality is that it can't be a normal type activity. Mentally, I'm not a professional healthcare um, person qualified to comment on that, but I will comment that I've been around a lot of chess players, and it becomes a mania. And it's kind of like Mr. Toad. It's Mr. Toad is on to his latest mania. That's all he's going to do, and that's all he wants to do. And you can get very euphoric playing chess, and parents ought to be aware of this, and they ought to look at it and take heed, because when too much chess gets played, I don't really think it's any longer a productive activity. So you could say, well, Bobby Fischer would have never been Bobby Fischer if he just didn't want to play chess and anything else, and that's probably true. So this is just a commentary on a nature of chess that I call the Mr. Toad of chess.